Well, we have gone an entire long season through the Black Ops 7 year. We have finally gotten down to our final 4 teams, and today we will crown a champion here within inside of the CCL. My name is Corin. With me is Cash. Welcome to the Impact Gaming Center in St. Louis. We have a wide slate of games here for today, but of course, if you are watching this on Twitch and or YouTube, make sure you're also checking out the Bravo stream as well. We're going to have that on YouTube at College COD, and of course, if you're on Twitch viewing for the CCL this weekend, it is at twitch.tv/College COD Bravo. That is going to be where Winners Round 1 is happening concurrent to the match that we are streaming here between the Falcons and Wichita State, and of course that will be also for Losers Round 1. After that, though, everything will be kept concurrent here with us on the desk, and we will walk you through the remainder of everything happening today. I'm sure we'll get some live look-ins there as well.
Absolutely.
That being said, Amber, it is finally the culmination of everything we have worked for the entire year for. Players who are having their final hurrahs here this weekend, players who have already found their exit and are retiring from College COD officially after graduating from college. What's kind of the emotion for you this weekend as we've seen all of this unfold into one final day here?
I'll go straight to the buzzword you called to at the end of the show last night. Like, it's going to be bittersweet. It's really exciting because you touched on it talking about Oklahoma Christian yesterday. Outside of COD, I mean, these players are getting their degrees. They're moving on in their careers. It's very exciting. But we are seeing the closing of a chapter and, you know, what we followed through, like you said, for years of the collegiate Call of Duty space, what they've been able to do, name states that we have, household names now as far as this collegiate space is concerned. So it's very exciting to see what these guys are going to be able to do beyond, you know, collegiate Call of Duty and their college careers. But it's also the bitter moment because you've loved watching these players grow, their programs grow as a result. Seeing just the culmination of all of these schools coming together for the concentrated effort to get to play on a weekend like this. And so for the teams that we have here remaining Sunday, it's a very exciting feeling. But yeah, it's a double-edged sword. You're excited in one way, a little less excited in the other, but ultimately everyone's happy. The vibes are great here.
They are great. Everybody's in the back right now warming up. Players are getting ready. So this is a great time for us to be able to dive into some information throughout the entirety of not only this weekend, but everything that's led up to this point. Obviously, $15,000 on the line is the prize pool here this weekend inside of the Impact Gaming Center in St. Louis. We went from 132 teams at the beginning of the season. We're now dwindled down to our final 4. We will have a brand new champion here inside of the CCL this season, which is super, super exciting. It's going to be one of the 4 teams, but before we even dive into those 4 teams, let's see throughout the weekend how we got to this point. We're going to look at our group standings, see who the 4 teams that made it out of yesterday are. If you didn't have any kind of watching prowess yesterday or you weren't here with us whatsoever, the Fisher Falcons played fantastic. Same thing with St. Clair, as they are both the number 1 seeds. They didn't drop a series. A couple maps dropped for Fisher Falcons. The big surprise came out of Group A yesterday, and really Group B too, but more specifically, the Cumberland Phoenix, who people kind of maybe wrote off as maybe a fringe top 2, top 3 team in one of their pools, sneak by, beat Oklahoma Christian, go Game 5 within Nwosu. That one got super close because I don't know if the people out there are watching necessarily know what happened before that. If they would have lost that Game 5, they would have been out of contention. Yeah. Because Oklahoma Christian then would have leapfrogged them off of what would have been the overall win-losses. So that would have been something that would have been an incredible storyline. But then we would have had 3 teams that were tied at 1 and 2 on that side of the bracket, which would have been a little crazy. But that being said, of course, Cumberland being able to make it into Sunday was something that program talked at nauseum of being like, that would be the coolest thing ever. Because for a lot of those guys, it's also their final ride this year inside of the CCL. Yeah. Like Cal specifically, we talked to him on the desk yesterday. He was like, man, it'd be cool if we could get not only a top 4, but maybe even get a chance to go out and win this thing this weekend. So for a storyline like that, that's awesome. It's a
blast to see again these programs come, and like you said, Wichita on Group B, the other side of things. You can say the exact same thing for it. Got to talk to those guys too. Exotic we got to do, and he was saying the exact same thing about for this program, a top 4 finish is great, but you also kind of heard them pivot into the competitor here, but they're like, top 4 is not what we want though. Like top 4, they even both I think said, it's the bare minimum. That's what we're expecting out of showing up here. Yep. Of course we want better than that, but they were still very excited for the chance to play on Sunday for their respective programs, having be their first top 4 berth at LAN. So really exciting to see what these teams will do today. Of course, you talked about at the top of the groups, respectively, Fisher, St. Clair took a route that a lot of people expected. No maps dropped for St. Clair. So a couple of teams get through that, you're figuring coming in. We definitely had, I don't even want to call it upsets because that's just not really fair to the teams that did qualify in a sense. It's not an upset. It was just guttural battle, and it was Wichita State and it was Cumberland that came out on top. Seeing Oklahoma Christian not make it into Sunday, definitely shocking. Like you said, if you didn't watch yesterday, you're wondering how and why did that happen. Cumberland Phoenix, again, just went out and played great Call of Duty. Oklahoma Christian, of course, playing without Cruzy COD, and that just being one of the last moments worth noting that in the sense that the team had a different complexion, still went out and battled, but Cumberland absolutely earned their spot to play today.
No, they absolutely did. Well, we talked about all the teams that we have had throughout the weekend here, obviously Oklahoma Christian being a team that has dropped out, it was kind of the biggest shocking factor of the entire weekend. Is a lot of people, and yourself and myself included, thought that they would be in the top 2 contention out of Group A. We thought that they'd be moving on to Sunday. But yesterday against Fisher in almost a poetic outing, that was the final match that Gus, Prada, and Manny will be playing instead of the CCL. Rory played his final match, unbeknownst really, I guess, to him in a sense, earlier on in the season. So that entire dynasty of Oklahoma Christian has come to a close. The curtains have been drawn on that performance, but nothing can take away from what they were able to accomplish over the 4 years that they were all here playing for Oklahoma Christian inside of the CCL. So again, a massive congratulations to them. Proud of them, obviously, for not only graduating, but it does suck to see them have to go in an exodus, not even being able to get to the Final Four. That said, let's take a look at our Final Four instead of the somber stuff. Let's get into the fun of what we will be having for us on our plates today. First matchup we will see here on stream is going to be the Fisher Falcons versus Wichita State and the Shockers. On the opposite side for the Bravo streaming that we talked about beforehand, if you want to find that, you can find that over on twitch.tv/CollegeCodBravo or on the YouTube channel. We will have both of these matches streaming simultaneously, so if you got 2 browser windows that you can pop open or 2 monitors, even better for you. But the St. Clair and the Cumberland Phoenix on the opposite side of that. Expectations going into this, matches should be relatively close. I think St. Clair still has a slight favorite over all the other teams here, but it's Sunday. We saw what happened last year on Sunday. St. Clair didn't necessarily show up and play the way that we expected them to, so I'm not going to go ahead and rule out anything just yet. I think a lot of what's going to come down here inside of bracket play today is going to really depend on what side of each team that we see today, because obviously Wichita State yesterday, we heard from Kaiser, we heard from Exotic. They were playing great COD yesterday. Yeah. Does that translate over into a Sunday? Do they play with the same ganache that they had yesterday? Same thing with Fisher for their own regards. Like, are we going to get championship form Brack today, or are we going to get, like, I'm still good, but like I'm maybe not having the best day Brack today. Yeah. And it's like that goes for literally every single person and player on any of these 4 teams. And
if all of the 4 of them show up and give us their championship best, which we're expecting, it's going to be a fantastic day, no matter what ends up happening. But you do have to bring your A game. Brack told us yesterday, 100%. You have to bring your A game from winners round 1 all the way to grands. Do they see themselves in the grands? Sure, of course Fisher's going to see themselves there. But they know the opponents they have to take up until that point. It's not just going to be a cakewalk into the final match of the day. For Wichita State, you were talking about it, the same type of thing where, okay, we've been cooking all weekend. Everyone knows, right? These aren't, unseasoned competitors. Everyone knows we have to bring our best today. It does not matter what happened yesterday, how good we played, what our KDs were, point differentials. What matters is what we do here today. If I had a .8 yesterday, that's all, absolved if we go out and win grands. No one's looking at those numbers. So everyone knows, take it by map performance. Everyone is locked in that regard. None of these 4 teams have said anything different. So that's why I feel so excited about what we're going to get showcased by these guys. And the matchup switch, of course, per group. So we're going to get different complexions of these teams and their initial opponents. It's just going to be a great one to dive into.
All right, well, you kind of alluded to it already. You talked KDs. Let's look over the entire weekend so far and see what we've seen from each of these individual players, kind of give you the lay of the land of what to expect going into the matches that we have throughout today on Championship Sunday. We'll look at the overall KDs here for the hardpoint mode specifically first, and just kind of dive into, not only some of the top performers, but kind of get some groupings to see of which teams have, a large complexion of individuals on here. I think at the number 1 spot here, obviously KB has been absolutely phenomenal this weekend. He has been frying in every match they've played. They haven't dropped the map, and that's been largely due to the fact that he's not only dropping a 1-5 inside of hardpoint specifically, but hill time per 10 minutes still sitting at 101. He's not only getting the kills, but he's getting the hill time and objective time to go along with it. It's an all-around performance from himself as well as Cootie and Rupert that you have here on St. Clair for this entire roster. So there's no reason to believe anything other than that St. Clair are going to come out and continue to have success in the hardpoint mode just based off of the numbers and the fact that everybody on the team has been fantastic.
Yeah, that's what you would come to expect from a St. Clair team where there's no superstar player. Everyone just kind of shows up and does their thing. Objective, KDs, it's all looking good for that squad. You look at Cal, of course, with a 1.2. I mean, also you look at the kills and deaths quickly as you see, right, the discrepancy. St. Clair obviously not dropping a single map, so their series not going to length. Numbers slightly skewed in a sense, but for the stats that we have for Cal, I mean, he has been really on takeover mode the entire weekend. He's someone you do want and need as a strong performer, as he's the only Cumberland Phoenix member in the top 10 for HP KD leaders. Everyone's still playing well, but that's the name that jumps off saying, okay, if there's someone you need to have a big performance today, Cal's who you're looking at for Cumberland.
Absolutely. Let's look at S&D, and you're going to see a familiar name there, I think, just to the person that you were talking about too there with Calamity here. But we'll see when we get to the actual overall graphic here in just a a moment, but Calamity for Search and Destroy has been absolutely everything for what Cumberland has thrown together throughout the entire course of the weekend. And you can see it at a 206, 37 and 18 overall, and the opening duel win percentage is at 80%. There's not much more that you could ask of any individual player inside of Search and Destroy than what we're getting out of Cal right now. I'm going to be honest, he has looked final, and it's a huge reason that not only were the Cumberland Phoenix able to take over and take down Oklahoma Christian yesterday, but he's also a huge, and not even huge, he is the reason that they were able to go the distance against Nwosu yesterday and clutch up in that Game 5.
Had monster moments from start to finish. I'm trying to call to the rest of his teammates and what they were able to do. It is not necessarily the Cal show, but definitely when the lights are brightest, he was making the big plays too. Like you said, surge them ahead, propel them in that map 5 win. So you can't overstate what he has done enough, and you can't look at a more perfect stat line and ask a player to do more. So it's been fantastic for Cumberland on his side to be able to progress, play the way he has this weekend. And again, you see a lot of St. Clair in there. You see Oklahoma Christian too. Obviously, them not with us is going to be interesting. How do those numbers kind of shift up now that you take those names out of the picture? But a lot of St. Clair towards the top as well.
Absolutely. Let's look at Overload real quick before we get into the finality of the series between Wichita State and the Fisher Falcons. Overload has been a interesting game mode for a lot of teams throughout the weekend. I think you and I at least talked about it. It was like, okay, well, Fisher and St. Clair, it's going to be hard to get one off of them this weekend. With Seawads being able to play the way he is, it's weird because you don't see KB anywhere up on this list right now, and he's been kind of a staple in every other one of the modes. So it's not only just kind of like a one-man show at times for some of these teams, but then all of a sudden you go to a mode where maybe they aren't as significantly practiced, or maybe they just haven't found a rhythm this weekend, and then all of a sudden the rest of the team is stepping up. And one of the things that you pointed out yesterday was like St. Clair, it's not like you have one person who is ever just kind of like sat back and they're trying to find their route. It's everybody is always playing consistently at a high level, and they're not asking for any production out of somebody else that kind of at a higher output than you would already be expecting from them.
Yeah, that's just what you get out of them day in and day out. So, yeah, it's not shocking that he's not in the top 10. It wouldn't be shocking if he was in the top 10. But, of course, the rest of his team, they're to represent. They're representing on every screen is essentially the point we're making as well. And, looking at Fisher, you see, Darkside there, who also, as we start to zoom in on our series specifically, between Fisher and Wichita State, Darkside have had himself a weekend here. And the Overload KD is really where you kind of see him shine the brightest. But he has definitely, as the day went on, crescendoed up into, just a very out loud performance of what he was able to bring to the table for this team to get them into a confident Sunday start.
Alrighty. Well, the entirety of the pre-show has concluded. It was about a 7-day free trial that you got here with us, so appreciate you for sticking with us through that beginning. Let's look at the overall series now between the Fisher Falcons and Wichita State, the bread and butter that we are now having with our full-course meal. The Fisher Falcons come into this, again, undefeated. They were 23-1 across the entirety of the CCL season. For Wichita State, inside of the regional playoffs, CCL playoffs, as well as their regular season, 19-7. So disparity was there between these teams, and I think a lot of people have the, Fisher as the #1 consensus team, or at least maybe you could put them literally anywhere between 1 and 3, I think, throughout the entire year. It was the conversation of, all right, who's going to win LAN? Is it Fisher? Is it St. Clair? Or is it Oklahoma Christian? And now that we've gotten to Sunday, Fisher have kind of at least put a gap between them and everybody in Group A. I think Group A, I don't want to say it was a little bit more difficult because I still think it was tough on both sides, but I think for Fisher, they were tested the most out of the 1 seeds between them and St. Clair, and I think that's been a big issue for them. But I'm not really looking at any mode that necessarily is a struggle for them. Obviously, if we look at the numbers here and we see a big 4 next to the 17 on S&D comparatively to 1 losses in each of the other modes, you could say something about that, but I think what Fisher has been able to do throughout this year has been kind of clutch up in S&D when they need to, and they're able to kind of rewrite that story at the same time.
Search and Destroy is definitely going to be that point where, you can catch them and play it a little closer, and I think Wichita has come out and played a very strong Search and Destroy this weekend. So if you're talking about trends, of course, these numbers give us a little bit of insight, but as we're talking what we have seen this weekend, I think that is going to be the softest point for Wichita State to try to poke and prod at and get themselves any kind of advantage. And we'll get a look at our maps here in just a few moments as we go over the veto replay. But for Fisher, like you said, when they have to, they find ways to win. So even if it's something a little more tested, it's just a team that really plays such a steadfast Call of Duty that there really is no up or down with them or wishy-washy performances. It just, it may not be the most accelerating, exciting thing. They get there at the end of the day.
They do. Well, I'm getting word that Robert might have ourselves the little bit of a veto replay here for this series, so we'll get to see what maps each of these two teams will be playing here inside of our best of 5 series. Again, this is winners round 1. There is a chance to drop down to the lower bracket. It's not just you have to win all throughout and then get to the grand finals and then it's GG's. You do have a second chance opportunity in the lower side of the bracket, so that is also something that is going to be exciting, but a bit scary because once you get down to the lower bracket, there's going to be another one of the top 4 teams down there.
Yeah.
And if you're not on your A game or, dude, somebody checked after a round 1 loss, yeah, it's not going to look too good for you. But I am getting word that the vetoes are in. So the Fisher Falcons, they will pick Team B coming in with the number 1 seed into this. That is going to allow Wichita State the option to go ahead and veto something here early on. Let's see what that veto comes in as. That is going to be the Sake hardpoint knocked out. And Amber, I'm sure that you're looking at your stat sheet right now. You've got a couple words that you want to say about that Sake.
Yeah, so Fisher is going to be 2-0 on that. So we talked before coming into the show kind of about the map set between these teams. We said, hey, this is going to be one. I'm going to be very shocked if Wichita off-rip doesn't veto. They do just that. Fisher with the advantage, playing a couple more, having some maps to work with, some of these newer maps. They end up getting a couple Sake wins. Wichita State, we don't have any reps. We're going to get that out of here completely, so I'm not shocked at all to see that one go.
The Den coming in from Wichita State's pick in map 1's a little interesting because the Wichita State Shockers, they have a lot of practice on that map. They've played it 11 times for that map mode combination. Fisher's undefeated on it, or sorry, not undefeated. They were 7-2 on it, so they have a much better record, but maybe not as played for them. So Wichita State, it looks like they're playing to their strengths right now, opposed to kind of attacking what they want to be able to play against Fisher. So I like the fact that they're kind of just sticking to their guns and being able to walk on that water a little bit easier, knowing that they're going to be at least understanding of what they need to do to come out with a win.
Let me see the ban out of gridlock for one of the search and destroys. The interesting map that we saw between these two teams, you wanted to see what was going to happen with Fringe and if that ended up slipping in or not. And as we're figuring out in the search and destroy, Den is going to be something that Fisher takes early. And that's one that, again, they have good repetitions on. They're confident in their ability to take. Wichita, they're going to opt to stay off of Fringe, only with 1 rep on it, even though Fisher lost it yesterday. They're going to look to take the raid and just say, hey, look, we've all been here before. We're going to try to keep it as familiar as we can, not put any kind of like unlevel ground if we have to go the distance and a series. We're going to look at the map 3 overload and also see what we can get. But as far as what we've seen, double Den in the front, and of course, we're going to find out here what the third mode is in a moment. A very interesting map set that we have.
Absolutely. Well, look, I'm going to be honest. Fisher's picking their strengths for Den on the overload here, but the one thing that I've recognized from Wichita State, all of the maps that we are seeing out of them are maps that, again, they have quite a significant amount of practice on, and they've kind of got a leg up in that regard because they do have just, again, a ton of playtime on these maps. You see a bit more losses in there for Wichita State, and that just goes back also to the regular season. It has the CCL playoffs as well as the regional playoffs in there, so this is accounting for maps that they have lost either to a Fisher type squad or, whether it be in Oklahoma Christian, Mars Hill, a St. Clair, or anybody else throughout the CCL season. If somebody got the best of them, that also counts in there. Again, they're sticking to their guns and they're feeling things out that are going to be not only powerful to them, but are going to feel like they have the best chance to go out and steal a map off of Fisher. Like we were talking about beforehand, Fisher comes into this as a number 1 seed out of Group A. It feels like this is their matchup to lose against Wichita State. We can frame it in any which way that we want to for the Shockers, but overall, I think the biggest thing that we have to kind of just make sure we keep in the back of our minds is that Fisher are playing for not only the get back from Oklahoma Christian last year, but they are very hungry to walk away as national champions. Obviously, there's so many others that are factoring in there as well. But I mean, look, Wichita State, they said they were just happy to be here on Sunday. I'm still sure they're going to come out with that same fire and passion, but Brack didn't seem satisfied at all yesterday when he was sitting out here on the couch. He kind of was just sitting here and he was like, look, like, yeah, it was great that we were able to, place where we did so far, but we want to win. We want the championship. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, he literally looked at us and said, yeah, I think we got 1 overall, which is cool, He's like, I'm glad we did that, but he's like, yeah, we want to make the grand finals, and they want to win in the statement. I won't even say the score that he said they hope to win by, as we have a lot of Call of Duty ahead of us, but he is confident that Fisher is just going to take over today, and that's the performance we want to see out of him here. Wichita State, they're going to come out hot and ferocious, and on the other side of things, Fisher, very respectful in the fact of knowing, look, no team here is a snooze. Brack knows that. The rest of the squad knows that. It's going to be who can come out and kind of deliver that first hit to kind of make the other, not real, but just sit back and be like, okay, here we go. Who's going to hit that first big play to get the energy going for either side of the table here? We saw Wichita yesterday play with so much energy. Every time we cut to the player cams, they were really feeling it there. A little more even-keeled out of Fisher. I think we're definitely off rip. I think we're going to have some really exciting moments.
I want to know what Phantoms is showing Brack right now. Got something pulled up on the timeline. He's just trying to get a peek out over to the side here. But you can see everybody here getting locked in, whether it's just conversations between the team or just getting into their own little moment of zen, however they so choose to. I know yesterday after we were talking about a map 1 loss for, I believe it was, who was it? It was Texas State. They were dejected. They were kind of like laid back and like they were on their phones and everything.
Yeah.
I think in a sense when you're getting ready into this first match here, this is more so just to kind of get you in a state of like, all right, I'm chilling right now. You don't want the heart rate going up. You don't want anything getting you kind of worked up in any sort of imagination. And I mean, these guys, look, you've got, I don't even want to, Exotic accounts for like 17 years of experience for the entire Wichita State roster regardless. And everybody on the side of Fisher has at least like 8 years under their belt, it feels like, of competing at a high level. So it looks like we're getting ready to start out here on a den. We got a triple den to start this series. 3 straight maps for the hardpoint, Search and Destroy, and the Overload. Wichita State coming into this as the underdogs. The Fisher Falcons, of course, throughout the entire year have been done one of the best, if not the best team, aside St. Clair and Oklahoma Christian. Their goal, again, win a championship as is everybody else's, but for Fisher, if they're not able to come out on top and be able to take that trophy home with them, I promise you, this weekend to them is going to feel like a wash, and they're going to feel like they could have accomplished a lot more. Same thing can be said about a lot of the other teams, but I think for Cumberland, getting to top 4 is already great. They're hungry. Wichita State, hungry to get out of top 4. You've made it this far. Why not go a little bit deeper? We've got map 1 underway here between the Fisher Falcons and Wichita State. Back on screen right now out towards P3. It's going to be a brawl and a bang out here inside of middle map 4. Bodies in from Wichita State. The Shockers looking to get on the board first as Kaiser with a double. Peach finds 1-2. You got Brack wrapping back over from the tower side. Choking on Spit was not on my agenda.
Now that we have that out of the way and we are good to go, I think. We got Fisher trying to get back in. They got bullied at mid-map to start. Now you're going to see them get some of these trades a little more cleanly, get themselves a little more assured here as they try to get some points on the board. Wichita State is 14 to start on the favorite side of the map. Before the rotation's new, but you can see neither team wanting to give up real estate here, knowing that map control is going to be everything and indicative of how this den is going to operate. Everyone wants to set the pace early.
Back around the right-hand side. Exotic wants to play contestation here. Doesn't want to get too aggressive out towards it. Will snap back over right hand. Deucer, great help over the top. Wichita State early here in P1, doing a wonderful job of being able to play around one another, be in great positions for trades. They've got the spawns wrapped out, flipped across the map. They're going to be spawning garage and ammunition here for P2. They got 2 players to the front right now. It's going to be Timmy Phantoms on the right-hand side looking to open up out.
And you got one more gunfight to win. Phantoms dance around, waiting for an opportunity to strike in with Brack. They're going to pair for another, so it's a 2v1 here for time. I think the Kaiser are just going to kind of lie in wait for your teammates to give you a little bit of support fire before you try to chow up, but Brack's going to make the pick happen, so now all of a sudden it's kind of trickling in one-on-one type of fights you're taking. You want to grow up and give a consolidated effort through a couple of entrances. Deucer's going to try to get one, the slide in comes through, your teammates pair for a couple more, and as it goes back and forth, Peach gets the last laugh. That's going to be time in for Wichita State.
Yeah, like that for Wichita State. Good cross-check in through the door. Get that first player out of the left corner, make sure that everybody else can collapse at the same time. Back 30 seconds, right now going to Wichita State. It was Fisher who were able to break in early, so basically we trade the front and the back halves of the hill, and really it's just going to be basically an equalizer as we rotate back over to P3. This time, though, it's going to be Wichita State who are out on the rotation early. Fisher have the rotate inside for Dojo, which is a bit more favored here, but we'll see what Peach is able to do on the push through as Phantoms opens up with 1.
And Confidence, though, we haven't really mentioned today, but he's someone who, playing the route through mid, is going to be interesting trying to wrap cutoff, but I like the aggressive cutoff. It's just going to be Exotic wrapping through. He is not going to push back, so that's going to be Confidence position. Not necessarily worthless, but he's going to have to wrap back and win a gunfight, which he does there. That already warrants spawns for Wichita State, at least close for the moment, so they're going to be battling from the right-hand side. Some splits come in for a second. Fisher, they've got a 2-front war.
Conversation should be for Wichita right now. Hey, you got a couple bodies coming on the flank at the moment. Peach was there for it. Deucer now has to play up through middle. Map playing the contestation on P3. It'll be Fisher who break back through. So realistically, the first 20 seconds, 30 seconds of this hill has all been about making sure you control Tinside, pushing through P3 and being able to break out the dojo. Right now, Fisher on top of that. Darkside on 5 in a row gets cut down.
Kaiser trying down to get the kill before getting picked. Is able to do that. Teammates look to support, apply pressure here. Config gets taken down, so that's going to be bodies for Wichita State in the point. They've had about a 10-15 point lead here, now grown up to about 25 as we rotate to new. Fisher got out in rotation the last go around. They're sitting pretty well here, but Wichita State, they are flying around. Guns are shooting this morning. Now we'll see what they can do to get a quick break.
Out through middle map, Exotic was able to get the best of the timing on Confid. However, backside Plaid, Timmy Phantoms locks it down with Darkside. And that's going to allow them to not only retain the spawns, but push everybody back out either towards middle map or the top roof side of P2. 20 seconds now the difference, closing the gap as the Fisher Falcons here at the end of the first set of rotations. 45 seconds to play for, and Deucer's in the back line. SMG in hand, going to find 1. Wraps into computers, Second gunfight here. You bet you'll rip the head off the second. Now on the back line, tries to go for Confid, can't get it, and that's everybody dead for Wichita State once again.
And if Deuce would have won that, you'd think they would have had a good opportunity to really get a look at breaking that hill. But Fisher, they manage the situation. They do a great job of making sure they can get a money hold here. They were down by 20 or 30 so points. Now it's going to segue and give them a decent lead. Wichita's going to give another crack at it just to see what they can do. But the damage has been done. You've overtaken the lead. You've got a good amount of time. Fisher feeling satisfied with the amount that they got there. Now they're going to look to reset for new.
I think with the flip in the back here, if you're Wichita State, you're actually quite okay with being in this position, playing from where you're playing at the moment, and being able to walk away with the back 15 seconds. 3-point game as we rotate back into P1. Peach pushing out towards ammunition. You got a two-body spread across the map from Wichita State. Basically a full map pinch if they're able to time it well. Exotic opens up with the first one on to Brack. Deucer there traded out. You get information on Confident and the final player from the Fisher Falcons. Shots great to the top side of window. Confident would have won that. We've been looking at a much different view here, but as Wichita State are going to play out towards P3 and spawn back P2, it's all Fisher Falcons getting time in mid.
And they're playing in just really aggressive spots. Wichita State having to clear a lot out before they can even look at chow mid. And they're doing a good job of at least knowing where they want to take these gunfights, but the kills coming through. Darkside and Phantom's pant for 3, so you know where everyone is. You can't get the kills to fall behind it. Fisher having a big, at least second set of rotation kickoff here on P1. Now, what was a tied game going into new, have a 30 or so point lead. Wichita State haven't really gotten a good crack at it, and that's just been good coverage on the outside from Fisher Falcons. They have all their lanes covered.
Brack on a drop down there from Exotic. Top rope challenge. Wichita's been falling into the trap right now of having to play for the back 10 to 15 seconds of scrap time. It was what they were keeping Fisher from earlier on in the game, and well, now things have started to really turn around the opposite way. Need a big play out of Peach in the back line here to grab these spawns and then be able to infiltrate the hill. You got a de facto pinch coming through on a spawn out from Kaiser. He's able to find the first kill. Second one there for the challenge. Gonna swap to the pistol on the right-hand side. Still by Garage as the spawns in the back here for Wichita State. On the brink here, up the stairs. Let's see how the comms are sounding as they try to break the Fisher Falcons.
And outer. I'm
One time. Spawn back garage.
Right corner, time stuck.
I'm just on the thing in garage.
There's all there.
Any close.
I'm going garage.
One's on time.
I'm with you, garage.
Time
wait. Outer weak.
One shot from right. Nice, another one.
Let's give him.
Nice.
You can go.
I'll come.
One shot old half. He's on pillar.
Old's one Carson.
They could already be up here, guard.
Yeah.
Just got pissed on. One shot.
I'm in your mid. Looking at your 10 cross.
Yeah.
I have your whole mid.
All 2
Looking on the 10 heady, bro.
I got 1 10. One more 10. Outer.
Yeah.
I'm one shot. Fuck. Guard. Outer 10. Nice.
Running at me time.
Take it.
On the heady.
Outer.
Both weak outer.
Mid half health. Make cut right now.
There's a bolt in as well.
Brack was make cut.
Two make cut. There's a bolt, like it's not weak.
Player
side. They're heavy towards mid.
Make cut to me, 1 shot.
Just pinch.
Fucking hell, as soon as I give it up.
Dojo.
I spawned out. 3 Jojo, 1 time.
Go through. Okay,
They just doubled
Get
up.
her front. We're just spawn out. Just spawn out.
Metal Logan weak. One low right.
Ivy. Brack is Ivy.
Close up weak. Close right.
Ivy on me, Brack.
Close up time.
I'm working. I'm gonna go new. Taking her out.
Stair glitching. Fuck that.
I'm helping.
Hopping up my cut.
Gotcha. There's at least 2 of them. I'm trying to help you, dude.
Well, Fisher have crossed the 200-point mark in Brack, asserting dominance here on 8 in a row. Everybody from the Fisher Falcons streaking until Darkside falls, but at 25-14, he led the way for most of the game. Only 22 seconds in the hill, but I don't think it matters all that much, as their lead has now almost eclipsed 100 points over the side of Wichita State.
And I do notice in the comments that we had from Wichita, Exotic was like, hey, all right, we need to regroup here. We need to try to get a hold of our front and then go from there before we try to rotate. So you can see they're trying to get things together in the comms. But I actually kind of saw it wasn't as energetic as you would think. I think they know that they're kind of fighting an uphill battle for the moment. Fisher, as you said, all of them streaking there for a time, the duration we were listening to comms. They seem to be firing on all cylinders. They really try to get things going early on and hang with, but like you said, once Fisher gets comfortable in their rotations, once they lock down the lanes of the map they need, the scoreline can start to look like this.
Yeah, second half rotation has not been kind to Wichita State. Just 10 seconds now for Fisher to be able to find map 1 here in winners round 1 of the CCL LAN Championship top 4. Brack on a 4-piece is going to find the last 2, and that should be the nail in the coffin, and absolutely will. Hammer on the head. The Fisher Falcons swimming with the Sharks.
Unkind is a decent word to put for that with how Wichita State was feeling. I mean, the comms had the right stuff.
Yep.
They were saying the right things. And it's funny because you called to me saying it yesterday. this is what should be happening. And should versus is are two very different things. And I think Wichita State came to that realization. Okay, we need to get front secured. I think Exotic did a good job as that tenured IGL calling out. Like, this is what we need to do before we can do anything else. We need to secure our front. Don't worry about rotating. Let's get this secured. That'll make that transition a little bit easier. So try to get a hold of things in comms, but again, a lot more beyond doing that has to go right for you. You can see just kind of stalled out there. The second set of rotations, and Fisher essentially got a money hit out of just about everything. When they're firing like that, like you said, you called a Peach in the back to even need to make it. Someone needed a big disruption play, and even at that, it was hard to get anything to stick beyond it. When Fisher is kind of shooting at the trajectory they are there, very hard to disrupt that flow.
I was going to say, it's kind of difficult to win a game when you kind of just stay stagnant as Wichita State, almost like the wages comparatively to like the housing increase of prices there, as Fisher's going all the way up and the disparity. Yeah, we're never going to own houses into the future. For Fisher Falcons, they're trying to build a dynasty here, though, inside of the CCL. We've seen this team for plenty of years now at this point, almost, 4 or 5 at this point. So plenty of time that they've had to really get back up to the top of their game. But we kind of highlighted between them and St. Clair, this is the best opportunities that either of those two teams has had to win a championship inside of the CCL over the course of the last few years, that those teams have really started to exponentially get better. We looked at Brack and we looked at Darkside here. I mean, that's just, you can't ask for much better of a game for the two of them here in map 1. It started off a little slow. Struggled in the first half. Second half, Darkside, he kind of just kept shooting through and through. And then you had Brack that was just like, all right, bet. We want to have some fun here at the end of the game. Let's do it.
Yeah, and for Confident Phantoms, you see, okay, maybe not as slang heavy, but of course you always have to look at the OBJ time, and both of them pulling about 90 seconds there is going to be something that you look at these, top echelon teams and say everyone does some kind of rule. We called to Brack saying he needs to have a championship-like performance because that's when Fisher does play the best, and we got that map 1. But Phantoms and Confident happy to say, hey, we'll go 500 or maybe just under, but Phantom's going to dish out 12 assists, 90 seconds in the hill. Going to do everything you do. Exactly, it's not bad at all. You did what needed to be done on the map to get the win. If Brack and Darkside are flying, you don't need 4 players flying around the map flying at that point. You're just trying to get to map number 2.
Yeah, if you're down 130 points and you've got 12 kills and you got 18 deaths, maybe we're going to look at you a little bit different. But if you're on the winning team and you got 12 and 18, you're playing the objectives, you're getting important kills. There was the one 3-piece that he had on the backside that locked down the first P4 where they were able to actually retake and gain the lead for the first time in the game. And it was like, okay, cool. That double there, that's 2 out of the 10 kills that he had throughout the map. But those were 2 influential kills because not only did they fully lock down the spawns, they got the back 40 seconds and the initial 20 of it as well. They almost got a full 60 on that, besides where Wichita State wanted to break in for scrap time. So those are the important kills that you get around the map that are huge for not only Fisher, but again, they're just impactful. And that's why you look at Phantoms as a power player of like, yeah, maybe he's not going to go out and he's not going to be the one that drops you 35, 40 a game in a respawn. Maybe he's not going to go into an S&D and drop you 15. He's good for it on any given occasion, but most of the time he's just going to kind of be chilling. He's not going to be the one that you're looking at as the most pronounced slayer. He's not going to be the one that's going to have that pop-off moment every single set of kills. Like Darkside, that's your guy. That's your guy you want sprinting at everybody. That's your guy that you want running like face first into the abyss. He's kind of like your Goliath Titan, right? You look back to a couple people of like, for example, let's say like Brack. Brack consistency. That is what we know out of Brack throughout the entirety of his career, is the consistent effort that he's going to be able to give you every single map. You're probably going to get anywhere from 25 to 30, maybe a generous range. We'll go 20 to 30 every game.
Yeah.
And he's probably going to be positive, and he's probably going to have a good amount of hill time. He's going to be doing everything right that you need for the team. Nobody has to worry about what Brack is doing or how he's playing.
And we'll transition into the search and destroy now. You talk about consistency, you talk about even killed for Fisher and what they do. Looking at the search and destroy statistic we have here, as far as Team KD is concerned, or excuse me, as far as win-loss is concerned, you said the 4 blemishes and the win-loss, in the grand scheme of things, it is a softer point this weekend that we have actually seen kind of repeat itself, where you can maybe get at Fisher. So if there is going to be a get-back, quote-unquote, out of Wichita State, they've played very strong search and destroy this weekend. Fisher has faltered a little bit, so I think if you're going to even up the series, it will be here at map 2.
No, absolutely. And I think for Wichita State, the only problem that we had in some of the search and destroys that we watched from them throughout the weekend is just like, the KDs look good because they're getting the kills. It's just sometimes either the kills come a little bit too late or they're just doing something on the map that's just like, you scratch your head a little bit and then they lose a round off of it. it, and like that can go down to a game 5 scenario, a game 5 round 11 scenario, or just even a game 2 round 11. Like you start losing a round here and there, you let one slip between your fingers, you're up 3-2 or something like that, and then all of a sudden, you know, either A, somebody's able to slip by, get through a crack, and then you're forcing it to a 2v2. Like at times they're not even getting fully killed in the round. They're letting a defuse come through or a team get planted, and then you're not able to fully retake by the time everything's out. So that's the problem that we've seen from Wichita State at times from Search and Destroy.
Yep.
They have cleaned up a considerable amount of their S&D this weekend, though, comparatively to what we saw in just the CCL playoffs a couple of weeks ago. They are much better at being able to play not only a team-coordinated scenario, but also be able to have that information to say, hey, we're picking this up, we're picking that up. And we've got 2 players that we're going to dive into and take a look at real quick. We got John Exotic up against Darkside here, the S&D specialist.
The bright spots for either team in Search and Destroy, especially in this weekend. And you were talking about someone who, as a team, saying, okay, we're going to tighten this up, we're going to pick this up here. That's the guy leading the charge for the squad. He knows he has some younger guys kind of on the roster that he's playing with, so he's like, we're going to make sure that we kind of get them coached up in the way that we want. He's like, if we need to correct things, it kind of comes through me, and I'm the one that kind of delegates and directs traffic from there. The Search and Destroy cleanups has been a concentrated effort from the team, but he's been the guy kind of just leading that charge. And this weekend, I mean, you can see, you know, what he's brought to the table. 1.5 S&D KD, averaging a kill around just about, and look, the non-traded kill percentage also fantastic. Sure, the opening duel win percentage, you look at and say, okay, he's, you know, losing just under half the ones he takes. Darkside, that's why we have them pitted together, because it's going to be such an interesting matchup between what they bring. So fast, so good at winning opening gunfights. But whenever you kind of get into the heavy lifting of Search and Destroy, Exotic really shines.
No, he absolutely does. And like the thing is that's not what you're asking Exotic to do on most of these rounds that you're playing Search and Destroy. You're not asking him to be the one to aggress on the other team and be able to find that first blood. He's not your first in kind of guy. He's that second one in that's going to be there for cleanups, and then he'll get that second kill for you. A lot of what Wichita State actually were able to complete yesterday against, what was it, Mars Hill we were watching them play, it seemed like every round it was Exotic being able to find a 2-piece after somebody gets blooded on Wichita State. That's the concern that I have about Wichita State and their S&D. It's when they lose that opening engagement. It's when they get down early in these rounds against a team of Mars Hill or maybe some of the other teams that they played in Search and Destroy this weekend. Yeah, it's been great to see them be able to bounce back in some of those rounds and be able to take a 3v4. But if you're not able to get those first bloods consistently against a team like Fisher's not going to give you those same opportunities as Mars Hill. And I hate to not put them in the same breath because they're both great teams. But Fisher's not going to give you any inside look into being able to take a round in a 3v4. If they get a plant set down and they're in a post-plant situation, Fisher's one of those teams that rarely scams in situations where they have an advantage. I don't see that being something that they can get away with here if you're Wichita State against Fisher. So you're going to need to not only have the aggression come in, if it comes down to Exotic having to be the guy that you call on to get that first blood to push first into the you know, the mouth of the dragon, so be it. There it is.
We said he doesn't need to be the aggressor. He can be the aggressor. But he does get traded instantly, and that's what you called to, where Wichita State yesterday found themselves getting the first blood, but losing it, or at least getting it negated. Sure, you're in a 3v3, so you're not at a disadvantage up until this moment, but it's something where you want to have those get out and get up with your life type of moments. Now you're going to be in a 3v2 situation as another player gets worked mid. Dudes are kind of pinned down, really trying to get a player on the chase, but going to back that player down. That will be the objective carrier as well. So Fisher going to make the call to wrap towards A. Kaiser, Deucer, going to work together, going to clear some things out. Have an idea. It's probably going that way, and here in about 5 seconds, they'll get confirmation.
Full wrap back. Long route through the spawn. This is going to be such a difficult site to retake here, especially in a 3v2. You got the spread out to middle map. You got one watching the backside of Dojo. There's no way anybody's going to be able to find an opening unless it's Kaiser with the sniper that's able to pick one off the bomb. Instead, it's a wrap back through the spawn here from Fisher. 30 seconds left in the round. Kaiser now to the outside of the roofs. Looking to push in P4. Takes the head off of one. Pistol challenge out. Should be a teammate there for a trade, and it absolutely will be. 20 seconds now in a 1v1. Does Deucer get the read on the outside, or will it be the bad timing? 15 seconds left in a full wrap back through Dojo. Do you get the timing this time? You look to outer, but you have to go for the full chase. Goes to the front side of the window. Knows he has to hop out, but instead turns back around, re-wraps, and the time is going to expire before he's able to walk away with the kills here in the round. What could have been a 2v3, still walks away with the gunfight win. Unfortunately, just not on top. Fisher will win the opening engagement and find that first round.
And about as bad timing as you could have got for a player getting away. You just take the 50-50 gamble that he's going to wrap a window and maybe check from the front. If you chase it, it could take too long. So really, there was no right decision to make there. No wrong decision either. It just didn't have enough time to work with Wichita State, like I said, just about were able to pull that one off. But that's things you want to see. Even though Fisher walk away with a round, I don't think you're dissatisfied with how you tried to play. You said such a difficult site to retake. I don't think they're upset with how that went. Of course, the killer didn't quite have enough time.
On offense, we'll see a different look. It's become more and more common that the first round a team goes to the A side on offense just to kind of catch somebody off guard. On the outer side, Deucer just trying to play his life. Played it really well in that first round where he was trying to push up with that smoke and able to back off to the rest of the team. Brack going to be inside a middle map, spotted out on the U side of half wall. Top blue completely given up. Said it'll be Brack trying to wrap back to that for a moment. Could have got a bad timing towards bottom middle. Might be kind of tweaking about it, and he absolutely will be. You got Darkside and his teammate over on the A side, waiting for this push to come through. Exotic looks for the timing. It's Darkside who gets the early shots in, backs off.
Kaiser connects over the top of the sniper. Woo! Paparazzi out and about here. Take cover once again, and they're going to end up getting taken down. Confident now over the top with Brack support. Finally going to be able to clean up one of those. I mean, now just Kaiser firing off shots, trying to back these players down. Knows they're closing distance. Knows he has the pistol in hand advantage. Fisher, as they try to take those gunfights, they'll slide out mid-cut for the last chow. Fisher recognized the situation. Close distance. It just got to be a little too much for Kaiser to handle.
I like the idea from Kaiser there, though, because I think after he got extremely weak, I think he thought the player from outer was probably going to be a little bit closer, maybe already inside of 10. So trying to take that play, saying, like, you know what, I really don't have an opportunity here, it's good. The only thing is I just wish the teammate help for middle map would have came a little bit quicker on the rotation in. Instead, it just maybe a half second, maybe 2 or 3 seconds too late to where you weren't able to find the player pushing inside of 10 to really give the call out there. But, I mean, you're in a moment-to-moment life-or-death situation there if you're Kaiser. So, again, it's kind of ticky-tacky to really put a positive or a negative on it. But they're going to drop the bomb inside of Couches. Wait on the wrap back. Looks like Confit might go back and pick it up here in just a moment, and absolutely will. They want to force this B if they can. The early pressure and the feint is there. Darkside pushed up all the way through middle map. He's through unchecked. He might just have the best timing. And he will.
Now just fire some shots to back off, but you get fantastic timing if you're Kaiser just to wrap and get that trade quickly. Sure, Confid able to close distance and get the one effectively, but I mean mitigated entirely. Whatever just happened on the outer side of the map, none of my business anymore as we're now in a 2v2. Peach gets to the 2v1.
Well, Confid decided that after he got one, he said, my work is done, boss. I'm going home. Drops the bomb and everything with it. Phantoms is in the back line of spawn, looking with the sniper, trying to find maybe a push in aggressive through Couches. Down to the top side of Broken. He could not have been asked for a better gift in this 1 versus 2. Now makes it a free 1v1. Very manageable, very doable. Peach out here on the opposite side will get the first challenge out, and the shots will stick perfectly. So a slide across is going to be just enough to walk away with that round. Wasn't able to get the immediate trade, but still was there in just the nick of time.
Well, and I really do like that play, and I don't even think it's being over-analytical to say, hey, go check my body. He might try to go pick up a gun. It was with a pistol. You knew he was running around with a sniper. Even just a wrap back and try to see if he was hanging out. I don't even know that it was, that too crazy thought out of a play. But for Phantoms wrapping back to get the gun, and for him just to wrap back through the bond, see if he was lingering, you automatically have the advantage, and Phantoms maybe hoping that he wasn't going to chow that quickly. So, like you said, not quite in position for the trade immediately, but still knows how to get to the effective spot. Gets Wichita State their first round.
See what Wichita State have on the offensive break. Looks like they're going to go 3-1 on the split. Actually, it's going to be an all-4 stack out to the opposite side. One's going to lean back in Couches, wait for a play through middle map. Sniper, a long shot. Not going to be able to connect on Confit, but it's going to force him all the way back and Brack on the re-wrap here to the opposite side. Nobody pushing outer just yet. Stun check out. Kaiser wants to push it now. Knows that one's to the bottom left side. Instead of being able to hit the shot, I believe he just hit the barrel of planks in front of him. So now Deucer's forced into an awkward position inside of servers. And as the bomb is now down, Kaiser on the outside gets an AR, makes this manageable. It's a straight-on push out, and Darkside finds 2 with the help of the Fisher Falcons.
And you just weren't sure where that next gunfight was coming from. You were getting grouped up together to maybe chow from the back or at least have a look, but you were also, like you said, watching into the bomb side, just kind of figuring out where it was. Happened a bit snappier than you were realizing. I mean, just a beautiful play out. Darkside Phantoms, they're not going to mess that up very often. They cleaned up the 2 kills quickly.
Like the little bit of baiting out there. First one flies across. Second one's just going to say, all right, I'll peek it out. Nice and easy. I don't remember who it was that was talking about the movement in this COD, but it's just like, dude, like if I just hold an angle and I out-aim you, I'm going to beat you in a gunfight every time. Phantoms just kind of gives me like that entire description of just like, yeah, I don't need to be flashy. My gameplay speaks for itself. I'm a shooter.
It really does.
That's all that I need. If you look at the spread right now, you got a 2-1-1. Player 4 actually in Darkside was pushing all the way up A, trying to find some information. Basically knows that the flank is free. Does he get some god timing on the player wrapping through spawn? It looks like he might. Exotic doesn't want to push this just yet, and that's twice that Wichita State have been caught off of that. Turned back around. Brack gets great help. That's great information.
And now they have complete site control, and they know it. Deucer maybe is taking up space here just to try to make things a little bit mixed here. The smoke's going to go down, maybe provide enough cover, but I like the chase out here while he's reloading. That's a good kill to get. You needed it.
Deucer stuck in a corner. 40 seconds left as the bomb has gone down. Peach is walking on the flank. first gunfight that he has here for himself. Pre-fire shot's not good enough. The jump going to get a little bit awkward as Darkside walks away with the gunfight. Win confident. What a snap back into Dojo. Okay, big fella, I see you.
That young man, someone we're waiting to see get going here. Here's a lot of the talk for Fisher and the successes they had yesterday. Someone who can really turn things up. I mean, again, the guy shoots straight. You just saw a snappy kill feed there out of him. Expect more of the same now. It seems like Fisher are really settling into the groove.
No, I mean, 2 years ago, Confid was a U18er. He was still, playing rec leagues on LANs and whatnot. I'd actually, the first time I met him was down in Miami at one of the LANs that they had going on down there. So it's been a cool ride seeing him go from like U18s, and he had a lot of prospects actually, like when he was like coming out of the U18 and actually getting to a point where he could compete at a high level. So I'm excited to see how his career continues to go forward. 7-3 here in the S&D has been a fantastic open, and he's going to be there immediately for a trade on his teammate to Darkside. So what was a 4v3 for Wichita State with a man advantage now equalizes back out. We can slow the pace down for just a moment. Kaiser with the sniper, thought that was going to be able to connect, but it does enough to allow Phantoms to get knocked off by Deucer as he peeks around the outer right side. Nowhere to go for anybody at the moment. Wrap back through Dojo from Brack. He's got 2 in front of him.
Wisely repositions. Smoke goes down. Tack connects. Nade going in next. Should deal damage. Let know people are still in there. The wall thing's going to try to come through, and you can just see they are dancing in there. Now you're going to apply the pressure. You're going to be sitting in Confid. If you can get the center connect, expect him to fly.
Hardest 1v1 of the game if you slide out of 10 and you see somebody on the tree heady. Instead is Peach, who goes sideways on the lay down. He's got Brack directly above him. 3 bodies pushing forward. You can find one for it, but most likely you're not going to be able to snap to all 3 there. So the bleeding has stopped for a moment. Cauterize the wound. Wichita State now starting to make themselves feel a bit more present on the map. 2-4 down, still 2 rounds of a buffer, but I mean, hey, you got to start somewhere.
And what do you think about maybe conversation in the Wichita camp? How long do you keep that sniper out of your Kaiser? Are you effective? Yes, and you have been controlling lanes, even if not, finding kills, you are still applying pressure on that part of the map. Is it something where Wichita, do you think there's a point where they maybe want to turn up the tempo and say, hey, let's bring out an AR, let's try to take some more of these gunfights to them? Or do you think they're confident with how he's playing now?
I think it's done enough to kind of like lock a lane down and be able to at least force Fisher to have to think about it, use early util to get him out of position. The other thing on that, I think Exotic's done a good job of being able to push with Deucer on the opposite end. Unfortunately, though, getting caught out there is going to be Kaiser, so you put the pistol, or excuse me, you put the sniper away and you get pushed up the map. All of a sudden, you lose 3 bodies immediately, and Exotic's the last alive has had a middle map. So, well, I guess the conversation now is that probably wasn't the best call. I do think, though, that if Kaiser, I wasn't sure Kaiser lost his life in the last round or not. He might have when he was pushing forward, so that might have been his second life as a sniper. So we might not even have the opportunity to use it throughout the rest of this game. Because just if you are wondering, yes, they still use that GA to this day in the year of 2026 in May.
To this day. Fisher commanding lead at 5-2. Brack 7-4. Confid talked about how he has gotten things going in map number 2 as well. And for Exotic, highlighted him coming into it, right? He's kind of their steadfast player, someone who you can expect, good performances out of. But look, sometimes you just don't have a map either. Out to 2 and 8, you expect anything he can get going, but Phantoms with that nade. Dude, there's a ploy. The sniper at the top of that wallbang is going to connect out of Kaiser as well as he opts to pull the AR out. Wichita State need this one to stick. Man disadvantage once again, though.
Good chance from Kaiser on the refrag. The problem is he's got 2 bodies he has to watch through now. 35 HP, he's backed all the way off. He's got his teammate Peach there for help, but through middle map, Brack is going to be able to get the crossfire shots with the 2 teammates he had still inside of Dojo. So another round where Fisher is able to not only walk away on the back end of Timmy's 2-piece, but hey, you get a good well-placed nade, you get a snipe shot, and all of a sudden, map is entirely yours. You got the last 2 players trapped in with Brack coming through middle map. It's one of the things that Fisher does so well, is containing corral. It's one of the strategies I've loved in Call of Duty for the longest time. Me and my duo always used to make fun of the idea of it and everything, and that was how we always loved to play COD. And when I see it, it just works out in so many ways that hey, if we want to go from here, boom, wrap it all around. Was that not round 5? I thought they were up 4-2.
No, that was 5-2.
That was 5-2. Fisher Falcons take map 2 over Wichita. Yeah, dude, my bad. I had no idea. I thought we were going another round of the search and destroy there. That is on me. I saw that pop up. I'm like,
Huh? Wait a minute now.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
Well, clearly the coffee hasn't hit yet.
No, but they get it done. And they do walk up 2-0 now. But, I mean, what you're saying is still a good point to make about how Fisher plays is that, their containment is so good that nothing seeps out of the edges. They really don't let anything go out unchecked. And because of that, again, that last round, that's how they're able to pull it away and walk with it. It was one Wichita State needed, but by the time Fisher got in position, it feels like the round's already done at that point whenever they get to their spots.
I appreciate you for finishing the point there.
Absolutely.
That was awesome. All right, well, stats. Confid, 10-4. We talked about him pretty much throughout the entirety of that search and destroy. Realistically, a lot of those kills that he had were off the back end of being able to be that second player in and getting those frags after maybe one teammate goes through. He's sliding into that challenge. He had 2 first bloods throughout the match, so he was always one to aggress. So it was either A, he was helping out his teammate who was getting the bait immediately for him, or he was being the bait, walking away with a satisfactory amount of kills. You're never going to be upset at 10-4. That was one of the players that I was looking to yesterday who didn't necessarily have a bad day of Call of Duty, but I knew that we would be able to get more out of Confid if he either was A, well rested, or B, it just came in with a bit of a better mindset. And I think earlier on today, I actually had a conversation with him before the match started. I'm like, all right. I'm like, you didn't play bad yesterday, but I'm like, are you going to fry today? He's like, oh yeah. He's like, I'm feeling a lot better today. So the fact that Confid's feeling good and he has confidence is huge for the rest of this team, because that was kind of the missing puzzle piece yesterday, I think, to being able to take a lot more of those series that they played closer in either a 3-1 or 3-0 fashion.
And if he's feeling good, feeling ready to shoot today, yeah, look out to the rest of the teams that they're playing. Because Search and Destroy, like you said, that really was kind of what opened the door for him. And you go back to a respawn with a guy who's only getting more confident as the games he plays progress. Yeah. That's going to be a scary sight. Brack has been, like you said, the championship form. Do you want to see him in? It's so fun to talk about this Fisher team because you can say any player's name, but it's just they're not ludicrous numbers. It's not a 45-12 performance.
Sure.
But they do it every time. It's a 35-25 every single time. It's a 10-4 search and destroy damn near every time they go out. So is it, flashy? Does it get like redundant to say like, okay, yeah, they're boasting a 2.0 KD? Just to realize what you said, they're boasting a 2.0 KD. That's something where you sit on it and think like you expect it out of Fisher, but it's just ridiculous numbers that anyone is putting up at any given time. So for them to just be able to replicate that time and time again shows why they're such a stout team and why they're a grand final, shot or shoe in, it feels like, for this Sunday.
Yeah.
Still a lot of COD for them to play here. Wichita in the series, still a chance to battle back, absolutely. But Fisher, the first 2 maps showing us why they really want to kind of make that mark. They kind of want to make that stride towards Sunday, showing that, hey, look, we're going to do this, and we're not going to play around today. It's not going to look very close.
I was honestly surprised when I saw Wichita State not only pick the Den twice, or at least to have one of the first 2 map picks, and then also be able to have that come in as the map 3 pick. Because Fisher, for what it's worth, at least from what I've seen from them throughout the entirety of this year and what we have seen throughout the kind of culmination of not only the CCL playoffs, but throughout the rest of this, like the Den for Fisher has been good all year long. This has been a staple map for them.
Well, I think you see that come through for Wichita because this is the only map they've played this weekend on Overload is Den. And you were talking about the back half, them wanting to get to comfortability, them wanting to get high repetition maps in the map pool. Den's going to be one of those. It's unfortunate you have lost 2 to that point, but you had to ban the Sake hardpoint. You weren't able to get the French Search and Destroy in. So with Den being the only map 3 you're able to play, yes, I am shocked at that pick for Wichita as well. But it's one that almost is like they had to go with that. They got...
Yes.
Again, I hate to say expose on exposure, but they really got kind of blown out of the water. Their 0-2 losses that they faced yesterday, and given that there's only 3, right, they only had so many options they could choose from. So is it surprising with what we know? Absolutely. This weekend, is anything a shock anymore? Absolutely not. Of course, being a must-win for them here in this series. At least it's the map that you've won on this weekend, given that it's the only one you've played, but they do have a winning record on it.
Well, news from the other side of the bracket. St. Clair has taken down Cumberland 3-0 within their best of 5 series. So we will see the St. Clair Saints in the winners finals here on LAN. Either of these 2 teams, whoever is able to take this, whether it's Wichita State coming back down 0-2 from a deficit, or Fisher closing this thing out in a 3-0, 3-1, or 3-2, whatever it may have you, they will be playing the St. Clair Saints for a spot to get to the grand finals here on Sunday. Lower round 1 will also be on the Bravo stream, so if you were wondering where you can find that, if you're just joining us here for the first time this weekend or today, you can go either to our YouTube channel and find the Bravo stream over there, or you can go to twitch.tv/College COD Bravo. That's where our secondary stream is going to be for the stream. Of course, that is not here, but our main match continues to go into map 3. Fisher Falcons trying to close things out, send Wichita State to the lower bracket, get to a date of destiny with St. Clair, which should be a best of 5 series telling us what might be a grand finals matchup that we will see between all these rosters going through the rest of this weekend. It has been a phenomenal time here at the Impact Gaming Center in St. Louis. We have had a great weekend of a lot of fantastic Call of Duty, and we get to do it a couple more times here before we call the season closed for the 2026 year. That said, let's hop into map 3. Nades out over the top. Very similar to what we saw in map 1. It's Wichita State winning the bang out middle map. They go 2 for 2.
Now he's trying to take up space. Exotic being a guy that wants to kind of be the leader for this team to push them forward, and like I said, in the opening break to hard point, kind of lead the charge in that way. Doesn't quite get it done there, gets chopped down. As a couple players try to make that transition over to mid-cut. And now with the reset block. What I'm worried about is watching the flanks, watching a player like Darkside, who we kind of started to chat about last map with the Search and Destroy KD. What player is going to be the island player for Fisher? Who is going to get loose and start to maybe cause pain for Wichita State, just kind of be a thorn in their side? It could be any one of them, but Darkside, someone I'm going to be interested to watch this map. On the other side of things, Wichita State need to win these gunfights from the front. You can see the payload on the move now. They are on retreat towards the site, trying to figure out where exactly Fisher wants to take it.
They got the full wrap, and this time Brock's going to move it directly inside of computers. You got Peach who's trying to hold it there. Deucer on the back line has to go massive. Kaiser and a flank that's coming in through middle map is trying to get there with Exotic. They pair it off and they hold it at the goal line for now. Phantom's on the outside, knows the 2 bodies are going to be coming through, gets the worst timing as he was trying to go ahead, cook a nade up, maybe find one on the outside instead. This is going to get rat backed all the way through spawn into JoJo, but you have to look at player number 4. You have Darkside who's playing the corner here. If he finds a second kill, all of a sudden, this could be a cap on the opposite end. He's able to find that, but good enough. There's a trade there. They'll wrap it back up towards the top north side of the map. Out into middle map, here comes Wichita State on an offense.
Deucer happy to get that kill, collect that go. Now as you've got Peach on the other side, that island player who's going to try to make a play, make at least a little bit of noise over towards this A side, draw the attention of the Fisher players, but again, this is no first rodeo for them. They know exactly where the play is going to be. They get the kill, they get mid-cut secured. You talk about containment, they're able to do just that, find the kills, clean it out.
Confident, cheeky little double, and Falcons is able to retaliate and trade for 1. They've got 2 lead blockers out and a player in from behind in Brack, who once again has the overload in his hand. Push forward, Phantom's there, wants to go for 1 more final kill and will absolutely connect. He doesn't have anybody here directly with him, but he's going to stay out and lead block instead of pushing all the way back. This should give some time for the Fisher Falcons to rotate over, but the deep spawn all the way top left on the mini-map is going to take a long time for them to get back. I like the wrap back out in the middle here from Confident. They're going to try and play this one in through computers. They want to get this thing to B.
I really like the way that they're playing, though, as you said, where they're just grabbing it and wrapping it. They're not playing stagnant or one-dimensional. They want to keep Wichita State moving back and forth. They're confident in their ability to scoop and score on either point. They haven't made it stick just yet, but again, Wichita State off spawn, constantly having to calm where they're going to be going. Fisher keeping them guessing.
Kaiser gets the snap on the final player here. Still 2 up through middle map for Fisher, now looking to push their way forward. Wichita State doing the exact same thing, trying to wrap this around towards the bottom side of middle. They know that the spawns are going to be super deep and towards the north side of the map, especially with where the payload was located at. Darkside up through middle, has one in his line of sight. Deucer, though, will trade him out. And as Brack now looks to push himself back, he's got 42 HP on the first great look that we've seen from Wichita State. The only player left here is going to be the one with the device in hand. They'll drop, and now it's going to be another flip of the map. 2 minutes left for Fisher Falcons to make an offensive push.
And Wichita State there, I like the play. They really tried to brute force it from the front. They left mid-cut open, so even if they were to find those good, Confidence was there quickly on the play, but Deucer's going to find 3 just to open this lane back up once again. I want to see them keep an eye on the flank. Kaiser should be the one in position for that. They're off to the races again.
Countering strike here from Wichita State. Phantom's laying down low. Brack, Darkside, able to pair for everybody else. It's going to be 4 down, a team kill that comes in, and once again, the map flips out completely, and it looks like it's going to be something where Darkside is going to have to make at least 1 or 2 kills stick, and he absolutely does just that up through middle map. They've got a few more players there. The pressure is good. The turn back around over towards tower. It's Brack who once again has the device in hand. Neither team willing to let a score go through.
The clean kill feed, like you said, everyone holding strong for the moment. The payload really been stuck here on the bottom side of the map. Everyone trying to get a clean kill feed and just push it further away. No one really making a move towards the site for the moment. They really just want to back it out of their spawn, because whenever one team has gotten up close and personal, it has been so close to scoring here. A 2v2 on site, what can he make stick?
This might be the one here for Fisher, and it will be Phantoms. The hop-up challenge with the pistol directly to the face of Peach. Exotic not there in enough time off the respawn. Fisher striking first here in the overload. Worst case scenario for Wichita State.
And this is playing at a lightning fast pace, so to have 1 score on the board, Wichita State just knowing they want to keep retaliating with pressure, just keep the intensity up in the engagements. They're doing a good job keeping up running around with Fisher. They just need to make some of these map positionings work out a bit better.
Peach watches the drop left side. Still has 2 bodies that he has to take care of directly in front of him. It's the nades for Fisher that have consistently put Wichita out of possession, out of play, and then forced them to rotate back to awkward positions. Now as Brack is trying to push his way forward, Exotic will hop up, looks for another kill directly in front of him. You betcha. He's got 3 in a row. Looking for number 4 with the pistol. Oh yeah! He might be old, but he can still shoot.
He's 28. Someone just kill him. I mean, there's no way anyone there didn't get app, and that's exactly what he said yesterday. He's like, guys, I'm old. Just find a way to fry me. But on the other end of things, he's making it happen, carving it forward. If they want to try to punch one in.
Exotic, once again, has 2 bodies lined up directly in front of him. Now with the payload pushing forward, it has to be Kaiser here to grab this. And with the pistol, he's almost able to snap back right side. Overtime was close. They aren't able to get it in. Fisher up just narrowly at the end of half 1.
And again, I'm satisfied if I'm Wichita State. At this point, knowing we're on our 3rd bout of Den, knowing that, you know, they have kind of ran routes on us to this point, it just played very headstrong. Just kind of ran at each other. Weren't super crazy routes that were taken where, Kaiser got loose in the back, was able to make a play, or Darkside got loose and completely blew up what they wanted to do. No, it has just been headstrong run and gun Call of Duty. Lightning quick between you and I know you and I are both feeling at this point, and it's exciting to be able to call because it's playing to a razor-thin margin. Fisher with just 1 goal, feeling like they had opportunities to get more. Wichita State made great stands early on. Now it's their turn. They're going to need to get something to land early. Confid, with an early mistake made, you got to take that opportunity for something.
Phantom's down low with Exotic. He's really the last bastion inside of middle map, besides maybe Kaiser on topside window. Not a crazy performance really from anybody on the map right now in terms of overall KDs. Phantoms leads the way at 19 in terms of overall kills in the lobby. Both sides still a mouse inside of middle map, and Exotic will have good shots. They didn't realize that Darkside got through on a flanking route. So now he's in top window, and this is going to be the catalyst here for Fisher Falcons in order to break this out. They want to go south side of the map and try to get through P3. They got 2 bodies there, but Wichita is all rotated. They're right here ready for the strike.
And I am expecting to see more of these Darkside routes. Finally, they kind of did the running gun battle in first half. Now expect to see Darkside start to take some of those lateral gunfights, start to hit you perpendicularly, make you have to turn your head, not just look forward for these gunfights. He does just that, opens up with the first kill quickly on the board, Fisher Falcons.
Everybody there for Wichita State tried to go bottom side. They wanted to make sure they were coiled and ready to strike at B. Instead, it's the re-wrap from Fisher that they've been so good at in overload. They were trying to get bottom. You saw what Kaiser was trying to do. He wanted to get out. He wanted to push that line forward. He wanted to lead block so they could try to rally that on a counter-attack immediately. Instead, it's going to be the Fisher Falcons who now have P3 control once in their favor. Brack with the pistol and the SMG up close will be able to find one on the outer left-hand push. There's still 2 more bodies here that they push into. Team kill might be costly. It's going to slow them down.
Falcons on the move once again, and really just walking down Wichita State and their defense. They don't want to give up these lives. They don't want to keep getting picked like they have been, and that's forcing them to give up map real estate. Fisher playing so confident, shooting so well that they're fine just to walk this down into the goal, essentially. You see another play getting wrapped back towards A. The call comes through. Everyone consolidated at B. Now you have to take these gunfights in transition.
And the thing you love is that they're making sure that they get the south side of the map, and then what they're doing after they get the south side of the map, goddamn! Darkshive, you dirty dog! Let me finish the point. I thought he was going to do it again. All right, well, the point that I was trying to make was the fact that Fisher, they will grab it, they'll bring the payload down towards the bottom side of the map. 2 or 3 people will rotate fully north, get out on A, so there's not only getting that initial spawn at A, they're forcing everybody to rotate down to B, and then because they have everybody there, it's group stacking them, and then they can take that payload free north because everybody else is already completely out of the line of sight.
Overall, roof side P is going to try to do his best impression to get a couple kills. Kaiser at least pair to clean it up, make it a little bit easier. And this is Wichita State's first look at trying to get the payload moved. They're playing around top side of the map. They have this roof side secured for the moment. But of course, as soon as dark side's back in the mix, you know you have a couple more gunfights that you need to make stick. This is going to be their first good look. They've got to make something go here.
Oh, Darkside once again. We'll shut everybody down in the line of defense. He'll grab the EMP, wrap it all the way back through spawn, and now it's just a 1v here for Peach. Sure, you win it, but where's the device going? All the way back across the map. 2 players here in bodies coming through the dojo side. You've got Exotic and the rest of Wichita State now trying to push this forward. You can see the pace and the tempo that they're trying to play with, but they can't find the last player who just continues to keep wrapping out every single time. They are flipping the map consistently. Yes, Wichita State's all running together. The problem is, Fisher are doing the same and getting all the way back across. Finally, you'll have an opportunity to stop the line of defense here. Confid opens up with the first one on Deducer. Pete's still here. 2 more bodies inside of P2 as they're looking for the EMP device. And if you're Fisher, all you have to do is just sit there and wait.
Everyone out of breath, including us, running around this map, calming everything that Fisher is trying to do as they go back and forth once again. It's a wrap, double wrap back. Here's what we do. Back and forth we go. They don't want to let Wichita State get stagnant. They don't want to give them power positions to just sit and hold irons. And that's such a high IQ play. I mean, it's just the absolute bait to it. It looks like a flea flicker there at that point, the way they absolutely had Wichita working back towards B, get it back to A on a sneaky play. Up 4-0, 60 seconds left. The pace hasn't slowed down at all, but I think the odds definitely have been the only thing decreasing for Wichita State to walk away with, and I thought for a second there.
Can anybody kill Darkside? It has been the Herculean task. for Wichita State to have to deal with him throughout the overload. 50 seconds left. Payload device in hand. Hellstorm used over the top, and they've got everybody funneled inside the backside of sight here for the Wichita State Shockers. Dark Side will go ahead, drag it, find it all the way down below. You got an opportunity on a wrap back now. Hellstorm got everybody grouped up together. That's what Wichita State had been waiting for, just a moment where they could all push in together. How about Peach getting the last player weak? Phantom should die here in just a moment, but it's too late to get the stop in. Problem, you've only got 25 seconds left to get the last 3 scores you need, so you got the work right in the right direction. Unfortunately, it's just not going to be simply enough time left here in the round, so Fisher Falcons, after a 2-0 lead here in this series, and being able to put on a performance and a half for what you should and can do on rotations with the overload device, are going to not only look to take this series 3-0, Amber, they are going to go ahead, guarantee themselves top 3 on the weekend here inside of the CCL LAN. They will play St. Clair in the winners finals for a chance to get to the grand final.
And the fact that that's already a matchup we get to watch here coming up between St. Clair and Fisher this early in the day is going to be ridiculous. For Wichita State, though, for them to fall the fashion that they did, again, you talked about it. Fisher should come out and win this one.
Yep.
Cut and dry. You know, you could never predict the scoreline or anything like that. Of course, you always hope for really close Call of Duty. But this is what Fisher comes out and does on Sundays. And, you know, they've had moments where they've faltered before. They come out and give a showing that says, hey, we're not really fixing to do that today. So still going to be something we keep an eye on as they go on. Can they continue to play at this level, especially with St. Clair being their next matchup?
Yep.
But just to put a bow on that overload for Wichita State, even before putting a bow on the series, for one, I don't think the kill feed's that blank ever. I heard gunshots in my ear the entire time they were running around. There was no moment of respite, no reset, and I think Fisher played that just because they wanted to go back and forth. If you don't let a team get set up, how can you get caught sprinting or caught with them holding a power position? So for Wichita, they were able to run around and keep pace, but when Wichita State got the first, or excuse me, when Fisher was able to score early, it just really came to a point where you have to play reserved. Even if you're playing quickly, they were losing the confidence to go strong on a counterattack because they're like, we don't want to be vulnerable, we don't want to expose ourselves to more goals getting put in. So it took away their opportunity to gamble on the offensive side of things. So though they were going back and forth, playing pace, did they get outslayed? Yes. They were keeping up in that regard, but it felt like they were keeping up just in a parallel fashion. They never got the crossover they needed to get a good counterplay to swing the map in their direction. And that's just Fisher putting them exactly where they wanted to. So Fisher went out and did exactly what they wanted. They were fine with how fast the game was. They knew they had it controlled the whole time.
They absolutely did. Yeah, fantastic. Well played from the Fisher Falcons throughout the entirety of not only the series, but throughout the weekend thus far as well. This was kind of the test that I was wondering how it would go for them, because we were kind of looking at matchups yesterday and like, okay, well, we have kind of a choice of what we want to see on the A stream, right? Do we want to see Fisher versus Wichita? Do we want to see St. Clair versus Cumberland? And both of the matches were intriguing in their own ways, because Cumberland, it was like, okay, they played well yesterday. They went 5 against Nwosu, but they took maps off of Fisher. They beat Oklahoma Christian, and we thought, okay, they could be a tough team for maybe St. Clair to play up against. Obviously, we know how good St. Clair are, though. For Fisher, it was like, okay, well, you're playing up against Wichita State now, who also played really well against Mars Hill, who were able to at least put up a fight against St. Clair. This felt like not only a match to where we could see if Wichita State really had that kind of strength to be able to take down a top team like St. Clair or Fisher, but also to see what Fisher was going to be able to come out against and combat against Wichita State, because I still had questions yesterday about Fisher overall, because they had dropped a few maps. They had moments where it was like, okay, are Fisher really the favorites potentially here? And I think that even though they did go 3-0, I think with the moments that they did play and that there were some bits of contention there, I'm glad that we were able to see that. No, it wasn't anything other than like, yeah, maybe it was just a slow day yesterday, and even Brack said that, but we heard Lucho say that Mars Hill was a Neslo team, then they got 3-0'd by Wichita themselves.
Heard a lot yesterday.
It was I can't take what everybody says at face value anymore.
No, you really can't. And everyone hopes for one thing. Again, there's a lot of this is what should happen, and then versus this is what is happening.
Yeah.
And what is happening is Fisher going on into winners finals to face St. Clair. Like you said, we didn't see a lot of them yesterday. It was good to get a little pulse check from them today, see where they're at.
Yep.
I think they're doing just fine. I think they're going to be feeling really good. That just gets me excited for the winter semis. But like you said, we get to drop down to lower bracket and follow the teams here and see what they do as well in lower round 1. It's going to be awesome to see this matchup now between Wichita and Cumberland and be able to say, okay, now you got a taste of the one seed on either side of the groups.
Yep.
Obviously, they both were the 2 coming into it, so now they both get to fight for the turn of their lives. Who still has it left in them to say, okay, I want a rematch, whether it is against Fisher or Wichita? teams we've both played to this point this morning, since we did flip-flop groups for bracket, who wants that get back more is what that matchup's going to be in the lower bracket.
Absolutely. Well, look, we have this series finished up now. Next up on our bracket, I believe we're going to winners round 2, which will be the semifinals between the Fisher Falcons and St. Clair. If you want to see the lower finals, or excuse me, not the lower finals, the lower round 1 matchup between the Cumberland Phoenix as well as Wichita State, you will find that over on the Bravo channel, either on our main YouTube channel over at College COD or at twitch.tv/College COD Bravo. I'm sure somebody will link it down in the chat below for you guys if you want to have those both tabbed up at the same time. Honestly, just for like the bit of sheer just kind of I want to watch that really badly. I hope we're able to get a little pop-up and maybe a live look in while we have the matchup between Fisher and St. Clair going on at the same time, but we'll leave that for Prod to figure out, and maybe we'll get a little lucky here and be able to cast some of that too, because I want to see those last 2 teams before they go home for the weekend, because one of them is guaranteed to go home at a lower bracket. But that being said, we have at least 2 teams that are guaranteed inside of top 3 with Fisher and the St. Clair Saints. Next up, we're going to send somebody home. It's going to be either Cumberland finding themselves a top 4 finish, or it's going to be Wichita State being able to make it into the top 3. Who will do it? I have no idea. That's why we are here and watching these matches play out. When we come back here in St. Louis at the Impact Gaming Center, we will see the winners finals and see who will go to a grand final to fight on LAN for a national championship. You're watching the CCL 2026 LAN finals. We'll be back in just a bit.